We're going to take you out now to Oakland, where Oakland Police Department is holding a press conference.
Where we as a community need to understand the seriousness of it. I just ask that you take a second in a moment of silence as I stand before you for 87 seconds to recognize the lives that have been lost in this city. The silence is deafening. 11 homicides in the month of August. A life lost nearly every 3 days in the city of Oakland. 87 lives lost so far this year. That's more lives lost in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And it's more homicides than we had at this same time in 2020. Our investigators are working around the clock to address these homicide investigations. So far, we've arrested 7 homicide suspects in the month of August, all of which have been charged by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. We had 31 homicide suspects charged in the year 2021 so far. There are some trends related to these homicides. We've seen increases in group and gang violence. We've seen homicides related to human trafficking. We've seen homicides related to robberies and carjackings and other very serious crimes. It has presented tremendous challenges for us. But we have continued to be steadfast in our ceasefire strategy to reduce gun violence. We continue to do our best to message to those that are involved in violence. We continue to ask those involved in violence to put the firearms down. We continue to call on community to support us in our efforts to address gun violence in this city. From an enforcement standpoint, I have redeployed this department to create a new Violent Crimes Operations Center to focus on violent crime in the city of Oakland, to prioritize the sanctity of life in this city. We have called on the clergy to support us, and we have had the help of our community as we have met once a month, bringing clergy and community together to highlight the violence in this community. Our shootings are up over 400 so far this year. That is a nearly 50% increase compared to last year. Shootings are a real indication of the increase in violence in our community. To see shootings up 50% is really concerning. This year we've had more than 700 robberies, armed robberies. That is an increase of 50% as well. Very violent crimes continue to happen across our city. There's some clear trends that we've been seeing related to these robberies. They've involved the use of vehicles, stolen vehicles, carjacked vehicles. They've involved groups of multiple people, 2 to 3 people accosting unsuspecting community members and robbing them of their property, and several of which have led to shootings. It's been a particularly bad last 7 days. We've had 5 homicides in the last 7 days. It's presenting tremendous challenges for this department with shrinking resources, where we found ourselves for the first time in many years to have under 700 police officers in the Oakland Police Department. Our current staffing is 698 officers. We haven't seen these numbers in several years. Our investigators are working around the clock to address these issues of these crimes. Our robbery investigators arrested 19 robbery suspects in the month of August. They've arrested 195 robbery suspects so far this year. We continue to push out safety tips to our community that your lives are worth more than property. Please don't resist when people pull firearms on you and demand your property. We also have been pushing these tips through social media and giving reminders about our camera registry so you can help support us in our investigations to apprehend those responsible for these crimes. Our carjackings. So far this year, we've had 329 carjackings. That is up 100% compared to last year at this same time. The effort to address gun violence in the city is an ongoing effort. Our officers have recovered more than 800 firearms so far this year. That's nearly 100 guns a month taken off the streets of Oakland. More than 3 guns a day removed from our community. This has been happening nearly 2 years straight. We're talking about high caliber firearms, rifles, ghost guns. We've had to reach out to the ATF for partnership to assist us investigating the origin of these firearms, and we continue to work closely with them. We are also investing in community engagement. Our Conversation Toward Solution series has been bringing forth conversations in communities across our city, but none of it has been enough to stop this violence. The sad part about it is, as a city, it should be at the forefront of everything we do. Public safety. 87 homicides. 87 lives lost. I hope this community understands how much trauma that is bringing to our community, how much sadness, how much pain is bringing to our community to have this number of lives lost. For a man to be inside of a barbershop and to be gunned down while sitting in that barbershop. To have a young man with so much life in front of him playing football to be gunned down in our downtown over the weekend. It's sad. I'm adjusting our staffing. I'm pulling officers outside of the building. So if you're in a non-uniform assignment, I am rotating officers out into the streets to provide more coverage. We're going to do everything we can to try to reduce the amount of violence. I will say, as a city, we need to understand that we have done a lot to support those that have been involved in violence, provide resources and support, but there's been very little conversation about those that have been victimized. Very little support for those that have lost people to gun violence. There has to be a level of accountability in this community. We have to say that this is not okay. We have to say that these guns have to be put down. And for those that are unwilling, There has to be consequences. We can no longer stand by and essentially talk about how we can continue to give resources to those that are involved in criminal activity. We have to talk about how we're going to support those that have been victimized. There is so much trauma and hurt in this community, and that will continue to drive violence. This is a call to action for everyone in this city, at every level, that this is not tolerable. I hope we come together behind this level of gun violence. I hope we can have a unified approach. We are in direct partnership with the Department of Violence Prevention. They have been providing every resource, every bit of support that they can in order to help prevent these crimes. We've been accessing every resource that we can tap into as a department. We have been calling on community citywide. But this has to be a collective effort, and we have to do better, all of us. With that, I'll take questions. We also have Pastor Dixon here as well to speak to the clergy's role in the ceasefire strategy and what they've been doing to assist the department. After they speak, as well as Reverend Damita, Davis Howard, will, about the work that our ceasefire program is doing in our community, then I'll take questions. Pastor Dixon.
Hello, I'm Pastor Billy Dixon at Thy Word Christian Center. Thank you, Chief, for this opportunity. As a pastor in Oakland, we're really into the ceasefire project. It's a strategy that's data-based, and let me just get down to the point of it. I'm one of the pastors that go out and talk to the young men involved in violence, have been victimized by violence, and we offer them opportunity. I've been in a car with some of Oakland's finest, going out just to talk to young men, to encourage them to put the weapons down. We do need to continue to do our part as leaders, as faith leaders in the city of Oakland. We're going to continue to do that part. Also, we do need to hold those that will not put the guns down accountable. However, OPD sees fit to do that, they have to do it. As being a lifelong Oakland resident, been here my whole entire life, I've learned something. We did it before, we got the numbers down, and that was through a collaborative effort from OPD, from the clergy, from those that are out there on the streets to get the weapons down, to put them down, and to offer services and needs for them to meet, to help them meet their needs. And we've been doing this for over 12 years since I've been pastoring, and in that 12 years we learned a lot. We've talked to a lot of young men, and we have success stories, but right now the crime is really out of hand, and we're going to have to push more services, more things to young people, to the people that are involved in violence. But at the same time, OPD's, I'm demanding that they do their job. I'm demanding that they do their job when they don't want to put down the weapons. But if there's anybody out there, let me say this. We want you to have the opportunity. If you see me, stop me, talk to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get you out of that part of having to participate in violence, having to defend yourself, or even picking up a weapon at all. That's all I have to say. I thank you for your time in this space, Chief.
How do you spell your name?
Dixon, D-I-X-O-N.
Hi, I'm Reverend Damita Davis Howard. I am currently the Director of the Ceasefire Strategy here in the city of Oakland. The strategy is based on a partnership that involves community members, healthcare service providers, OPD, and other entities that are want to get the violence down in our city. The primary piece of ceasefire is direct communication. You heard from Pastor Dixon, who leads and talks to young men and sometimes women who we think should have the opportunity to take a chance at having services to change their lives and put the weapons down. The direct communication strategy is based on two things, what we call custom notifications, which is a one-on-one conversation with folks who can help redirect people in the community who could be potential shooters and or victims of shooting. The other is call-ins, in which we call in groups of young men, give them the same opportunity from an array of services, sectors of our community, and sectors of our city. We believe that this strategy has worked, not only here in Oakland, but across the country in a number of cities. And we do believe that it is we can't arrest our way out of the problem. Talking to and developing communications with these young men and asking them, mostly young men, to put down their guns is the way to go. I am a longtime resident of Oakland. I graduated from Castlemont High School, so did my daughter and my sisters and the man I married. We are Oakland. And we know that Oakland is not a violent city. It's just a place where violence happen to happen. And we know also that if asked, these young men who want to save their own lives and others will put down the guns when given the opportunity to make changes to their lives, real changes. So that is why we have the ceasefire strategy. That's why I believe in it wholeheartedly, and that's why I appreciate partners like Pastor Dixon and others who want to go out and have direct communication with these young men. There's also the other side of ceasefire when people don't want to put their guns down. We know that society has not been kind to everybody here in the city, and sometimes it leads to situations where people end up at the other end of law enforcement. So I just want to say here that I love Oakland. I love each and everybody in Oakland, and I love the partnership that has been developed and provides services and opportunities to the mostly young men in Oakland who carry guns. Thank you.
Can we have your name, spelling, and title again, please?
Damita, D-A, M as in Mary, I, T as in Tom, A. Last name is Davis Howard Hyphen, and I'm the director of ceasefire.
At this time, we'll go ahead and take any questions that you may have.
Other than getting more people on desk duty out on the street, are there other changes in strategy that you're working on? And is there, other than the conversation, I mean, it's not like you guys have not been trying all kinds of strategies. It's not like you're not working on it. So, I mean, is it a matter of a change in strategy, or is it just?
Yeah. No, I don't believe it's a matter of change of strategy. I think the strategy is proven to work. I think, we've made some adjustments internally around being more focused on group and gang violence. We have our ceasefire team, but now we have created a violent crimes operations team that is focused as well on gun violence across the city. So I think the numbers suggest that they're making a key arrest, and they're apprehending those that have been in possession of firearms. And so they've been effective. But due to the high number of homicides, we have actually had to increase the number of investigators in our homicide division. So as of this week, we've had to move additional investigators into the homicide section because these numbers are much higher than we've seen over the past several years as a result of the reductions. And so I think that is a change in staffing, that is a change in courts. You never want to have to increase the number of homicide investigators that you have, but when you see numbers reaching as high as they are currently, our current investigative capacity is just beyond its bandwidth. And so these officers are working around the clock, particularly these homicide investigators, and now we need more staffing because we have not seen this slow down.
How many more investigators, like from what number to what number?
Yeah, so we went from about 9, and then we added an additional 6. And so that's about 15 now in new, investigators in our homicide section to deal with this high number of homicides that we've seen in the city of Oakland.
You called on the community that it's time for the community to take a stand against this. You said that before, in previous speeches you said that before. Do you feel like the community is just turning a blind eye to this and not doing their role in putting a stop to this?
No, I believe that there are some in the community that have been very helpful and have been right at the table with us. The ceasefire strategy is really centered on community involvement and community partnership. But I will say that these individuals that continue to drive violence are right within our community. that there's an opportunity that community has to actually touch them before they have to come into the hands of law enforcement or before they get themselves involved in another violent act. And so really calling on family members and friends that if you see your loved one armed with a firearm and if you see them involved in some confrontation that could lead to violence, that you step in and intervene. I often say that you don't have to wait to a funeral to give somebody flowers, right? You can tell people that you care about them before you have to do it at a funeral. That's what I'm saying to community and to families and to people who care about people who are involved in violence, to not ignore it, to not act like you don't see what's happening, to intervene, to save their lives, to stop them from going to prison, right? Take action so that they can be safe. Take action so that the community can be safe.
Chief, I wanted to ask you about the situation with the federal monitor. You had the meeting yesterday. What's your takeaway now?
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic about our court appearance yesterday. I feel like we are making progress with our negotiated settlement agreement. We came into a compliance with 3 additional tasks last month. And so we, feel, that the department is definitely focused. We've made key changes in the organization to help move us forward, creating new bureaus to focus more on our compliance with the negotiated settlement agreement. And so I'm cautiously optimistic. We look forward to our January court date that the judge gave us yesterday. We have some work to do, and we're going to continue to work hard to hopefully achieve full compliance in the near future. That is the goal. We are in a good place, I think, today as a result of yesterday's court, but we have a lot more work to do. But we definitely are optimistic.
But optimistic that come January you might be free and clear, or?
Optimistic to get before the judge again. Optimistic to hear from the judge again in January, and so that we can come back to demonstrate that we've made even more progress. We are essentially just doing our best to continue to make progress. Every time we go in front of the judge, we want to be in a better place than we was the prior court day. That's really our goal. We don't determine when we are in compliance, but what we do determine is how hard we work to show the court and demonstrate to the court that we are seeking to be in compliance.
Do you have a time frame when you're hoping to be free and clear?
We'll see what happens in January. Obviously, we've heard the calls from community. We've heard the calls from others asking for us to be in compliance, and I think we'll continue to do our job to make sure that when the call is made, that we have completed all 51 tasks. I think that's what's critically important.
The FBI has released a new report about hate crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Hate crimes against African Americans tops the list. What is the city doing to tackle hate crimes?
Well, we continue to partner with our Alameda County District Attorney's Office, who created a hate crimes task force. I think that's been really key. Internally, we have also identified a hate crimes investigator specifically to look at cases that may have some association to cross-race or hatred-related crimes. And so we are, as a department, making sure that we are working with our community. One of the things I built was a trust-building unit. And that trust building unit was designed to really go into communities that are non-English speaking, like into Chinatown, like into the Fruitvale district, but also trust building officers specifically to work with the broader community, including the African American community. So we have been addressing that by making sure we have dedicated officers to make sure there's a line of communication with each one of our communities within the city of Oakland. So I feel like we have an effective way of managing it, and I think our partnership with the DA's office shows that we take this very serious.
At this time, we have time for 2 more questions. So if there's someone who hasn't had an opportunity to ask a question,
Labor Day weekend is coming up. People have an extra day off. It's going to be a little bit warmer. How concerned are you that we could see another spike in violence? And are some of these measures hopefully will adjust that?
Yeah, I'm terribly concerned. We'll have extra staffing out throughout this holiday weekend. All 3 days there'll be additional staffing here. We'll have our sideshow detail out in full deployment to address any potential sideshow. We'll have teams dedicated to addressing gun violence and violent crime citywide. We'll take some of the information that we've learned from some of our past incidents and seek to continue our investigations into those crimes that have occurred in the last couple of weeks. So we are going to be on the ground. We're going to use every resource we have to try to not have a weekend like we had last weekend. So we are hopeful. I do want to say that we still remain hopeful. I think this is a city built on hope. We have, have great people in this city that really want to live in a safe Oakland. I just think that that message needs to get to those that are driving the violence. And so I think message is important, but the message has to get to the right people. And so that's what we're seeking to do, is make sure our message is getting to the right people to tell them to put the guns down.
And our last question.
I have a question for the pastor. Can you address some of the things that causes a young man to pick up a gun, as well as what would cause them to put it down?
Growing up in West Oakland, attended McClimates High School, I attended at Chesney, Lakeview, and various other elementaries in Oakland. Opportunity. I always talk to Chief about that. We grew up together next door. Opportunity. I had more opportunities because my father was self-employed, so we went to work. So we had opportunities for jobs, opportunity in education. When I graduated from McClimates, although I had some great instructors, when I went to school, I found myself behind. So education has to be lifted up. Jobs have to be lifted up. Family care have to be lifted up. Mental health has to be lifted up in the whole community. All these things are a big part of helping people out. If we don't do those things, we're going to fall. If the educational place isn't met, it's going to fall. If the job place isn't met, it's going to fall. Captain Jones and I went out, we talked to a group of young men, and we asked, what was the problem with the first ceasefire? He says, man, I got 3 children, and they wanted to give me $300 a month. You do the math. You do the math. What is he going to choose to do? $300 a month, 3 children, and a family to take care of, or do what he has to do to make ends meet? We have to do those things. We have to find a way to make sure that they're doing. San Francisco is offering somebody, if they just talk to them, $300 a month. If they just talk to them about crime violence, we have to get on something like that to help put these guys in situations where they don't have to turn to violence, where they don't have to turn to robbery. And we know that all this has gone up since COVID has happened. It's just not happening in Oakland. It's happening all across the country, and we have to look at those things.
I'll sum it up as we close with just how we started. 87 victims of homicide in this city. There needs to be a call to action to say we don't want 88, 89, and 90. We know that there are challenging times in our community, and just like was just spoken, there are challenging times in other cities across the country. But I will say, one of the things that always resonates with me is that hurt people, and if we don't treat those that have been victimized, that have lost people, if we don't begin to address that root cause of violence, what is driving people to feel like they need to pick up a firearm and go back and retaliate on behalf of the hurt and pain that they have, then we won't solve this problem. There are a lot of people that have a lot of pain as a result of these 87 homicides. And me, as someone who has been a victim of homicide, with a brother killed in this city, I know the pain that you feel when you lose somebody that you care about, when you lose somebody that you love. We have to be able to address those that are hurting, because it is difficult to manage that pain if you don't have support. And you choose to make difficult decisions that you think they feel right because you want to go back and retaliate and say that you took action against somebody that hurt you. But we obviously know that that is not the way to remedy pain. We need support. We need counseling. We need therapy. We need people who are experiencing trauma to feel the support so that they don't feel like they have to take these things into their own hands. Partner with us. Allow us to help. Allow us, the Department of Violence Prevention, to step in. Allow community and clergy to step in. But we have to stop the violence. We have to put the guns down. And we have to make Oakland a safe city. As a parent in this city, it troubles me to let my kids go out every day. It troubles me to know the violence that they might experience when they leave home in Oakland. And I'm the chief. This has to stop so that every family can rest while their children are out. So that every resident in this city doesn't have to live through gunshots every night. This is sad. This is tough. It's tough to live in East Oakland. It's tough to experience gunshots every night, to have sirens blaring every night, to have police racing up and down your street every night. That's tough. To see people one day and not see them the next. That is tough. It is having an impact on our community. People are hurt. You have seniors that can't come outside because they're afraid. That's unacceptable. You have hardworking people that literally tell me, Chief, when I get home from work, I don't come back outside because I'm afraid. We have a man last night that lost his life in the front of his home. Killed. A robbery gone bad. There's no need for that. Could you imagine the trauma that that family is experiencing this morning? This is happening over and over. It's unacceptable. This is not a political conversation. Loss of life is not political. It's a public safety crisis. And we should treat it that way. Stop making this about politics, whether you like police or not. This is about public safety. This is about keeping this community safe and keeping people alive. That's what it's about. So this is not just another press conference. This, again, is a call to action to say to people that this is serious, that people are hurting, and that we need your help to stop this violence and stop this pain in our community. Thank you.
We've been listening in on an event with the Oakland police chief. He's been talking about what has shaped up to be a very, very violent month of August. There were 11 homicides reported last month, 5 homicides just in the last 7 days, 19 robbery arrests in August, a total of 31 homicide arrests so far for this year, and 800 firearms have been taken off the streets for this year. As you heard, he just said this is not about politics, it's about people's lives. It doesn't matter if you like police or not. He called the situation in Oakland a public safety crisis. He also talked about Labor Day weekend as it is coming up, the plans. They are going to be doing sideshow enforcement and more foot patrol. So the chief there is really trying to ramp up efforts to curb the crime, the spike in crime that residents out in Oakland have been unfortunately seeing and experiencing over the last year or so. We'll have a further breakdown of what was discussed. This is Chronon's Dan Kerman. It's his story. He'll have more for us a little later on at Chron 4 News at 3, and we'll have further breakdown here on Chronon as well. But for now, you're watching Chronon, and we'll have more news for you after the break.